night, holy night,
These elderly Orange residents have dementia, but that doesn't stop them meeting regularly and enjoying themselves, as they did with carols and festive cheer just before Christmas. This is a subsidised preschool class in East Orange for infants from low-income families or disabled parents. These children themselves are mildly or profoundly disabled, brought together in the afternoons to socialise and learn basic tasks and skills. This group of ageing couples meets each week in Orange to have lunch and collect taxi vouchers to help keep them mobile and active in their late years.
Good girl.
They're all part of the wide range of CareWest community support initiatives that are headquartered in Orange and extend throughout the Central West. And CareWest is a bold community scheme launched 28 years ago in Orange that's now become a key, highly valued outsource and partner, working with state and federal government care funding.
My understanding is that way back in 1984, some community-minded people in Orange with a strong sense of social justice and with an eye to the future decided that there needed to be a vehicle established in Orange that was independent of council, independent of state and federal government agencies. And that was at a time where governments had first really started to outsource the delivery of essential human services. So these people established Orange Community Resource Organisation, as it was then called, as an incorporated association, to start and do some community needs analysis, work out what the community needed, talking to individual people on the ground, and that they would then work to try and identify ways to get government to support these local community initiatives. So that was where CareWest was birthed.
CareWest's government funding, 85% of its revenue, currently totals over $20 million a year. With revenue like that, along with a staff of well over 200 plus volunteers working in 7 Central West centres, CareWest could teach private companies a thing or two about growth and development. But in keeping with the principles that established it, CareWest is strictly not-for-profit.
I guess that possibly wasn't too uncommon back then, and even now there's many thousands of non-profit organisations in Australia. In fact, some recent work done by the Productivity Commission suggests there's 60,000 economically significant non-profit organisations. So there's a lot of us out there. They range from the local netball club or the bridge club right through to diverse multi-million-dollar companies, organisations like CareWest. So perhaps that wasn't so unusual. I guess what was unusual is that, well, this was one of the first really in Orange, and I think I do remember reading in some literature about Ochro way back when that it might have even been one of the first west of the Blue Mountains to establish in this way incorporated association to invest in setting up an administrative support structure that would then be able to do that community needs analysis and start to lobby government for funding.
The efficient, trusted relationship that CareWest has established with governments reflects how a lot of its care business is conducted these days. It doesn't just fund its own care programs. It seeks that same close funding relationship with other groups and communities that are targeting high-need gaps in the health and social welfare landscape of the Central West.
Often it's not a service or a program that we end up creating or delivering. Often it's just a partnership. Often it's a way of us working with a community or a part of a community. The Aboriginal community in Orange is a great example. And just through discussion, through dialogue, working out what their dreams are, the aspirations are of the community here or in other places, helping them to understand what their potential is, what the assets are within their community, within that group of people. Sometimes CareWest is then able to bring something to the table as well. In a number of examples I can think of, CareWest has been able to bring a sophisticated infrastructure, computers and a fleet of vehicles, and certainly we know how to work with government, how to lobby government, how to write tenders. Some of the stuff we've done recently in the Orange communities is helping to establish some new preschools that really target highly disadvantaged families, disadvantaged for lots of reasons, including just the distance they are from the existing preschool services in Orange. So we've been able to work with the local Aboriginal community, work with the school community at Bowen and Glenroy, CareWest to bring something, and we've been able to establish these new preschools. Now, those preschools might not continue in their current form forever, but they're meeting a real need right now. And that's part of what we're trying to achieve through our capacity building.
That need, as CareWest sees it, is human, multifaceted and ageless.
Really quite diverse, and honestly, it's the people you meet on the street every day.
And it's based on the principle that it's not just society's challenged and needy that need help, but the people close to them or depending on them too.
In other cases, we provide support to families. Families who are going through periods of crisis or great change, turmoil, families particularly at a time where there might be diagnosis of a child with a disability. That can be a really tough time for families to get their head around what does this mean, how do I get in touch with all of the right services and support systems. So CareWest staff can come in and work with that family and help them navigate through that really difficult period in their life. In those situations, the nature of our support is often quite short and brief. It's an interim measure to help them understand what's available to them, and then we like to withdraw their service, and they can then look after their own things. They've got the information they need to get on with their life, and that probably defines the general philosophy, the approach that CareWest takes to working with anybody. What we want to do is provide, I guess, the minimum amount of support to an individual or a family to help them through a particular issue in their life. The reason we do that is because we think that helps build a sense of, people maintain control of their own lives. The majority of the families, the clients, the people we work with, they want that. They want to maintain that control of their life. They want to be in charge of the decisions.
Like most care agencies in Australia, CareWest is gearing up for its most critical challenge in the coming years: the immense care and welfare needs, not to mention the economic cost of our ageing society.
We're seeing the start of that, but what we all know about the projected increasing demand as Australia's population ages, is that that's going to become much more prevalent, and it's scaring a lot of people in the sector.
The scary part, says Tim Curran, is that funding for the aged is currently capped, fixed, and this foreshadows major battles in the future for CareWest and other organisations to get the nation's purse strings loosened considerably as the demand for aged care really takes off. But at least we already know, he says, what the dimensions of the age crisis are going to be.
The government really is responding to this now. They've done all the number crunching in the population, projections. They've got a good sense of what the increased demand for services might be. So that's good. And there's some major reforms that are being considered now. Again, the Productivity Commission just last year completed early this year, in fact, completed some really good work around projecting the increased demand for aged care services and making some recommendations around how the aged care support system needs to change to better meet that increasing demand. People now, the baby boomers, and that's the generation we're talking about. Baby boomers have very different expectations and desires of what they want out of an aged care support system. We are experiencing that already at CareWest. More old people are choosing and are able to work longer, make a contribution to society for longer, make a really valuable contribution to society for longer. And certainly some of the government reforms are really encouraging that, delaying the retirement age into the future, doing things like increasing the compulsory superannuation, which is all about giving employed people, workers, the capacity to self-fund more of their retirement and support needs into the future. So they're really positive trends. I think old people really value, understand the contribution they can keep making to society. So certainly at CareWest we really do value the contribution our older workers are making. And as we look to the future and project massive growth in our needs to deliver more and more services, we will need more and more workers. And we really think that the aged workforce is going to supply a big part of that need.
Another big challenge that CareWest is about to take on strikes at the fundamental nature of its business. Instead of relying on what the governments need done in community care, Tim Curran sees CareWest going where the governments can't or won't go in the future. And that means back, in some respects, to the basic community ideals that started CareWest.
Well done. So most of what CareWest does now has been a result of responding to government leading some change or putting some particular service out to tender, and that's how we are at the moment. One of the recent changes at CareWest is that we want to move back to that community development approach. We really enjoy doing, and we think we do quite well, the delivery of these government funded services, and they're really important, and we'll always do that. But CareWest has identified a few years ago the desire, the need to really start to do things that the government doesn't fund and probably won't fund. There are lots of things worth doing that the government can't afford to fund or chooses not to fund. So CareWest has placed a renewed emphasis on that community development type work. We now call it community capacity building, but we're very focused on working back at that grassroots level within communities, not just Orange anymore, right across Western New South Wales, but working with those local communities to identify needs and opportunities.